In association with Official Wrestling comes A Few Good Marks Podcast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to A Few Good Marks. I'm your host, Kieran, and I'm joined by Alex.
Hi.
Candy.
Hello.
Croft.
Hello.
And... Wow.
Kane.
Lovely reference from 3 weeks ago.
Lovely.
Can I say all
lovely.
get pinned?
So today we are talking about wrestling
Don't set me off
styles. This
AJ
is
Styles?
not AJ Styles, wrestling
Whole
styles.
podcast on AJ Styles.
That would be a novelty, wouldn't it? No, this is talking about different styles of wrestling. So essentially, this is whatever style of wrestling you see in a ring. That's about the best way I could sum up what we're about to talk about without talking about. So to give a bit more context, what I mean, we've narrowed it down to 5 different styles, and those are Mount Evans style, more commonly known as World of Sport or Catch as Catch Can style, hardcore wrestling, strong style, Lucha Libre, and what Croft has defined as showcase wrestling.
I feel like this is like a peace treaty
Cross
thing going on.
2017.
What would you just find as?
Showcase, essentially, in a nutshell,
Flippy shit.
Oh, flippy shit.
this is showcase wrestling. We'll come on to
So you
more
can't
of
use
this.
the words flippy shit in a dissertation.
Exactly.
So, showcase.
So showcase was invented. We'll come on to that when we come on to things. So essentially, we're going to start talking about the pros and cons of each style. Obviously, some styles some people quite like, other styles people don't. This is kind of the beauty of professional wrestling. There's something there for everyone. So I'm going to start with the Mount Evans style, Catch as Catch Can, World of Sport style. So I'm going to throw to Willow to begin with because it's kind of your most area of liked style of wrestling. It's old school.
It's
style
old
of
school.
wrestling.
It's wrestling, in my opinion. It puts the wrestling into wrestling, into sports entertainment, if you like. It's the wrestling part of it. It's
his roots.
It's roots. It's 2 fellas in a ring, grappling, and just doing nice holds and good. It's the basics, but you can't take away from that.
Anybody can get into it.
Anyone can get into it, but
It's the foundation for everything else.
anyone can get into it, but at the same time, it's hard to get it right.
Yeah.
As you probably know yourself.
I'm taught this way. I would argue I'm pretty much taught the old school way. Like Andy is really like old school wrestler.
That's Andy Baker of Runcorn Wrestling Academy. When I just give that its proper title.
I thought we weren't doing product placements.
That's alright. I'm gonna sell the fuck out of the gym I work for in a bit. Don't worry.
But personally, I do prefer like the indie style, and like Andy, my coach, does know that. But like, I think it's nice to be able to like if anybody gets lost in a match, especially if you're working with someone new, you can always go back to the old school style and like get the crowd into it, because it's like all about your facials and like how well you're selling, how well the other person's selling, and I think that can get anybody interested in what you're doing.
And that's what I like the most. Is I'm a big facials guy. I love a good facial. No, but that's the thing I look for most in selling is the face, and also like the sort of not just selling of pain, but I don't know if this comes into Mount Evans style, but the selling of tiredness as well. So like,
I
think
like
that's a
that.
general
So, like,
wrestling thing.
we were talking before about the NXT main event. One of my big gripes with it was there was no selling of. They've been going on it for like half an hour, and yet all of a sudden Gargano would just pop up out of nowhere.
Yes. That's true.
It's like, mate, you've just been like battered for half an hour, and now you're not even tired. Like, so that I like the slow pace. It's sort of, I don't know, it's just nice.
You're much more at the slow
You can put it
pace
on
style.
and just sort of chill to it, can't you?
Yeah.
I think what must be nice as well for people who actually do it, tell me if I'm wrong, Alex, but if you're in a match with someone and you've not really worked out your chemistry with each other yet, you can go back to that style, because I imagine it's something everybody has. It's what you're taught.
It's what you're taught.
Especially in England, it's like the basis of where you start from and go up.
Does this include like the mat wrestling, counter wrestling, chain wrestling?
I had a match last Saturday against Nicola Hyde, and I've worked with her before, and she had quite an old school style, but she's like, because she's so experienced, like she's so good, she's like the veteran, and I'm like, oh, I want to do all this cool shit. And she's like, oh, yeah, you can do all this cool shit. And I trusted her to take everything. But it got to the point where we were fucked. And she stopped in the middle of the ring. She went, Alex, I'm fucked. I went, same. Whose stupid idea was it to plan all this shit? It was my idea. And I liked that we was both at the end, like near the end of the match, we was both like selling, but it was real because we was genuinely fucked. But it was like nice that we was like waiting for everyone, because we had like a lumberjack match and we was waiting for everyone to piss off, and it gave us time to sell, and it gave the crowd time to start being like, you know, like the whole, and they start clapping again. And it gives the crowd like, they start rising for you when you're tired, like, because they want to see something. So it's a nice way to like calm the crowd down to get them, bring them back up again.
The only thing I'd say for cons, if I was to nitpick, I'd say that for nowadays wrestling stuff, I guess like a mainstream audience would find it a bit boring.
It's not good for marks.
You say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good for marks, but you say that. But I had my mate round, Jay. He's a big wrestling fan, like myself. And I put out. We were watching Royal Rumble '94, and yeah, that's the one with Brett and Lex winning it. Yeah, and I thought, and we were just chatting about like old school wrestling. I put on obviously a Superstar Billy Graham match. It was Superstar Billy Graham versus Ivan Putski in MSG, and then most of that match is just rest. It's just rest holds in inverted commas. It's, you know, holds, headlocks, bear hugs, that kind of stuff. But he was really into it by the end of it. He was like, because it was all about the selling and the pain that you're in, because you've been going at it for so long.
There's this,
you're
like,
winded, and
there's this kind of like blurriness now between people going. I think ever since the Attitude Era, there's just this like over exaggeration to tell a story, and this is why I think, to go on to my dissertation once again, why British wrestling has got such the following it's got, because it's kind of reverted back to its roots, and it's gone back to the simplest form of storytelling with some modern bits plucked in here and there. But it is just good storytelling throughout, you know, like 8 out of 10 matches on a card. That's
Absolutely.
That's a lot of matches for a card. But you get what I mean.
I think because it's the foundation for everything else, you see it in absolutely everything, even Match of the Year candidates that, as we said before, a lot of marks go for. Things like Dunn versus Bate, a lot of the things that the audience were clapping for and applauding and standing up for was the constant transitions, the very quick technical wrestling that was going on, because that in itself is really technically impressive. Even though it's the old school style, it can still be really impressive in a modern setting as well.
If we're talking counter wrestling, like someone puts someone in a hold, they get themselves out of it, put someone else in a hold. We cast our minds back all those weeks ago to that NXT TakeOver Philadelphia.
Oh yeah.
Like the first part of that Almas versus Gargano matches. It was quick counters, it was getting into a hold, getting out of a hold. That was probably my favourite part of the match. And on the same weekend, they had the Suzuki-Tanahashi match, and that started off similar. Get someone in a hold, they have to get out of the hold. Again, that was probably the best part. So counter wrestling when done well is beautiful to watch.
It's like the best way to get two wrestlers on an equal footing, I think. I want to get them over
because you can
equals.
show that they both know each other's number, that both can outdo one another, and then it becomes competition.
Do you remember we're talking when Kane was doing the May 19th thing?
Yeah.
Remember the match him and Big Show had? And it was all chain wrestling? Really? And the crowd were proper into it. They didn't end up being chain, like, it didn't finish as chain wrestling, but it started off like
it's a great way to
changing
start
holds, and it was like two
across
big
the
fellas
side.
doing it as well. It's like, it's a good thing to see. It's the wrestling.
Because when you say get them on an even surface, with that Almas Gargano match, they were doing all these counters. I was like, have these two faced before, or is this the first time they've wrestled? And when I think Mauro said like this is the third time they've faced, I was like, well, this is the perfect way to start then, because they've had two matches, they know each other well. You can get into all these counters. Because when he first started doing it, I was like, if this is their first match, this is a bit stupid. But when it was the third match, I was like, well, this is the best way to start then.
Absolutely.
See, I think like there is some places like that I've worked in, if I'd have put somebody in a wrist lock, the crowd would have just been like this. Like, you would have heard crickets. And then there is some places where you've just got to have a match that makes no fucking sense whatsoever, and the crowd will be like on the fucking feet.
Yeah, it's all about different crowds, isn't it?
It is different crowds. I think that is the con to it, that more people are popping for the marky shit nowadays.
Yeah.
Even if it is a preference, but, you know.
It's like you'll get more of a reaction out of a suicide dive than a wrist lock.
Exactly.
Translate.
So we're going on to which transitions quite nicely into showcase, really, to start the discussion on that. Obviously, the most famous two. If you were going to point somebody in a direction of a showcase match, you'd obviously say Will Ospreay and Ricochet.
Yeah.
That's like the go-to, really, isn't it? When you want to.
That was the match that kind of started the whole showcase.
Yeah. When it started off, that first match they had was, I want to say revolutionary, but it wasn't. It was just so different that it did just change everything.
It was different, but some people saw it as too different, and
yeah, there's this whole. Oh, go on.
Right, they're on a different level. I think that they have their own level. They're not wrestling, they're doing gymnastics, and it's brilliant, it's amazing. I love watching it. I'm a former gymnast. I will mark the fuck out for that shit, because I'm like, he was pointing his fucking toes and everything. Like, it's not even like a messy backflip. They have their fucking toes pointed. You can tell they've been gymnasts, like, or acrobats, or whatever. It's the fact, like, the reason I do prefer the showcase stuff though, maybe it's not to the... I think it's on a spectrum, and I think that they're at the very end of the spectrum, like the far right of the spectrum. But I think, like, the women now, in like when I go back to women, I think women are more showcasey now when you look at it, like, compared to how it used to be. And I think that this is why I prefer showcase and indie wrestling so much, because I feel really strongly about the women not being like the piss break match anymore, and I feel like now that women are doing all this indie shit, that's why we're not considered the piss break match, and that's why I do like the old school style, but that's why I try and steer away from it, because
keep people engaged. Because
as well as like the styles, like the old school views of women was pretty like, you know, like sexist and derogatory. So that's why I say to my coach all the time, like, I want to do all this flippy shit. And he used to be like, nope, that's not what I believe in. But now he's just like, Alex, I've got a spot for you to do. So, like, I think he's just giving up now. I think, especially with women, it's something that women need to rely on.
On the note of with training school, stuff like that, I was down at my gym, the Infinite Gym, not too long ago. And
where is that gym?
In St. Helens. The Infinite Promotions Gym in St. Helens. I mean, the Runcorn Wrestling Academy is not hard to know where that is. But yeah, the Infinite Promotions Gym in St. Helens. And these two lads were in the ring having a really good trainee match. And I was looking at it thinking, like, the coach, one of the coaches there was Gypsy John Kenny, who's a legend from the 70s on the English indie scene. And the main coach taking the session was Disco Bert Fabulous, who's on the wrestling scene at the moment. And these two lads were in the ring having this like match, and I was watching it thinking, this is quite indie, this. John's not going to like this, because John's very Mount Evans style.
Yeah.
And then John turns around and goes, that was absolutely fantastic. I was like, what? Did we just watch the same match? I can't believe, like, it was just like, but I guess it's something that I'd never seen, that style of match. It's not something that I associate with Mount Evans style, with that type of wrestling. It was very currently indie style, but then when he said it and I was thinking back, it's like, you can almost see like Johnny Saint and Robo Rocco doing those types of moves.
Yeah.
But so John was giving all this, but then Bert was saying that he couldn't critique that type of match because he didn't do it, and he's on the scene at the moment. So it is about gauging the crowd, and it's all about stuff like that.
I think it depends who you are as well. Like, different people are going to wrestle differently, and that is that. Like, you're going to work someone where you're going to have to adapt to them, or they're going to have to adapt to you, or you're going to have to meet in the middle.
But
I think from a viewing perspective as well, regardless of the style of wrestling that you're watching, you can tell when a style is done well.
Yeah.
Just when you gauge the crowd reaction, the live crowd that's there, and just from watching the two wrestlers go at it, if it is two wrestlers, and how they're reacting to each other, you can just tell when a certain style is being done properly. Yeah. Regardless of what it is and regardless of your experience with it.
Absolutely. So as you said with Showcase, one of the cons to it is that it's not wrestling. I've heard this argument a lot.
Yeah.
My issue, like, if we're talking about the Ospreay match, obviously the moves are very impressive. My problem is the lack of selling.
Yeah, that's what
this I mean. This is a big talking point with Showcase, is the lack of selling.
That's why I say
it's
a gymnastics shirt. I'm not being funny. You can see that I'll give you my videos of when I was 14 and I was doing a gymnastics fucking performance. It's practically, if you'd have put you there doing the same gymnastics performance opposite me, you've got Osprey and Ricochet right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that is literally it.
Like, if
My
I could
issue
do
with it is it
back
doesn't-
spring off the ropes.
There's not a massive load of story involved either,
No.
which I've got a problem with.
The only real what's at the heart of me disliking showcase wrestling is it doesn't look like it hurts. You're in a wrestling match with someone, and at the end of the day, it's meant to look like a contest. Like, you're meant to be hurting the other person and keep them
It's
down.
about getting emotionally involved, isn't it? You can't get emotionally involved with them if they're not in pain.
Yeah,
That's
if
why
the
I
moves
do
aren't meant to
think
hurt
it's
each
better
other,
to
what's the
look at it.
Yeah, if you run off, hit a running shooting star press, pin them, don't go up and run off to the ropes for the next spot. You've hit a down your move, try and cover them or follow that up with something else.
That's why I do think it's better to look at it as a spectrum, because look at Charlotte, she does a moonsault, like a corkscrew moonsault from the top rope to the outside.
Yeah.
They sell the fuck out of it, they all do. Do you know what I mean? Like, so this, I think that's why you need to look at it on like a big spectrum rather than like Osprey and Ricochet, just gymnastics.
Yeah.
They're acrobats, that's what they
I
are.
think you're absolutely right. It's less of a wrestling match.
It's
Yeah.
still,
more of a
well, this
show.
is why it's a showcase.
I would only really associate like them two and like a few others really with that.
Yeah. There's
Because you
not
can still
a...
do your flippy shit and then sell after it. Like, I've done some stupid stuff, but I've made sure I would never like let the person get up off of it. Do you know what I mean?
I don't mind it as long as it looks like it's meant to do something.
Yeah.
It's when you see Osprey, Ricochet and other, even wrestlers that I really enjoy. Johnny Gargano's been guilty of it. Dunn and Bate have been guilty of it themselves. Of just doing flips for the sake of doing a flip. It's like they'll be getting up from a move and they'll do about 3 flips. And it's like, what's the point? Just get up.
Sometimes there's no point.
Yeah.
Like, literally, you just like, you could have just backbumped that. Like,
Yeah.
fucking hell.
There we go.
That flip.
So, let's go on to strong style. Only because you've just mentioned Dunn and Bate, which is this, because this links in. Obviously, strong style's mostly well known coming from Japan, where they will batter the shit out of each other. But it has made its way onto the Indies as well, and there's also the British, there's a tag team basically called British Strong Style, but it's also become its own sort of frame of mind where it's the Mount Evans style, but with incorporated hits and chops from the Japanese Strong Style side of things.
I like strong style for the reasons I don't like showcase. Because I don't like showcase because a lot of it doesn't look like it hurts. I like strong style because it's looking like you're trying to batter
Because
them.
it's actually
This
hurting.
is why when we were talking about, when we were discussing Gargano and Almas versus Suzuki and Tanahashi, that I went for more Suzuki and Tanahashi, because, like I said before, it's all about selling. And there was a lot of selling.
Yeah, you don't get much
The whole
better
match,
selling than Tanahashi.
the whole match was selling.
That's true.
But at the same time, you can't have like a face without selling. You can't have a heel without the other way around.
I would imagine you've got a fair bit to say on
I
strong
think you're
style.
absolutely right about how it looks. Like it looks like a proper wrestling match. It looks like people are trying to beat the shit out of each other. And I think my first thing that came to mind was when Nakamura debuted in NXT and had that match with Sami Zayn. That was the first I'd seen of probably most Japanese wrestling, and it looked completely different. It was Shinsuke throwing knees, throwing kicks, and I think that's what kind of made me look into Japanese wrestling more. And then when you see a guy like Katsuyori Shibata, who is known as the wrestler, if there's a match he had last year, it was the match
With
where he had the
Okada,
headbutt,
wasn't it? Yeah.
where he had the against Okada.
But yeah,
But the whole match is literally, it's Shibata just kicking the shit out of Okada. And Okada, at one point, he just goes, right, enough of this. What I'm doing is not working. I'm going to have to do the same style as you. And he starts throwing the elbows, he starts throwing the knees. And at like 30 minutes in, they are just battering each other. And then
To the
then of
point
course
where...
the headbutt came and it kind of took everyone away from the match.
Yeah.
But up until that point, it was just
Even the
so
no
bad.
selling the Rainmaker,
no solid.
which is just like the Rainmaker's renowned for being one of the hardest hitting clotheslines going at the moment, lariats, should I say?
One of the most protected moves
for
in
going,
the world.
without a doubt. But it also just because it hits so hard, and every time that he does hit it, the opponent generally tends to at least do a flip or something to sell how hard he's hitting it. And he hits this guy Shibata with it, and he just bounces off his chest. He doesn't even go down. He stays perfectly still on his feet and just looks up at him, and he's just like, nah. But
I think because it's later on in the match, he hits him to close. I can just see all the sweat fly off Shibata, so you can see the impact of it, and he just stands there and just like no sells it.
It's fantastic.
I have seen.
But on while we're on the same match, this is a big con of it with the headbutt that has nearly all but taken him out of wrestling. Is there's just a very real side to taking yourself out of this job early.
I cringe every time Kenny Omega hits a V-trigger because it just looks like he's kneeing someone in the face.
It's the same kind of thing.
Oh my god!
It's the same kind of thing that comes onto
times,
another style that I'll go on to after this. But it's the same with unprotected chair shots.
I think, and I know I keep speaking from like a wrestler's point of view, but I think it's quite useful. If I hate nothing more, and I know that like you're meant to protect each other and stuff like that, but I hate nothing more than when someone hits me like that, because I'm like, what am I selling? Like, I don't understand. I say to people, just fucking hit me as hard as you can. I do not care, because they're not trained fucking fighters. We're trained to pull it back. So them hitting me at their hardest is still not going to knock me out, because we still know the safe places to hit. No one's going to hit you full pelt in the nose unless it's by accident. They're going to go for the, like, you hit each other here, which is like the meaty part of your neck, or the meaty part of your back, or your stomach, where, like, you know what I mean? The worst that's going to happen, you're wrestling out there for 10 minutes to half an hour at max. It's half an hour of your life, maybe once, twice a week, that you've got to endure that pain for. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all the other times, if you're really that fucked from a match the day before because you fucking hit each other too hard, just go back to chain. Just do chain for a match. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not that hard. Like, I prefer it because I think it looks better. I think it's easier to sell from a selling point of view. So I just prefer it, and it's not going to kill anyone.
When you were on about the Shinsuke Nakamura match that got you into Japanese wrestling, the first show I ever watched was Wrestle Kingdom 9, because I was on Reddit at the time and everyone was raving about like how good it was going to be. So I thought, I'll give it a watch. And the match that always sticks out to me is Sakuraba versus Suzuki, which is two ex-MMA UFC guys.
Yeah.
They were doing a UFWI rules match, which is basically no pinfalls, submissions, or referee stoppage only.
Fuck.
And they beat 7 shades of shit out of each other. And I was so into it because I was like, they are actually kicking the fuck out of each other.
Yeah,
you can hear it, you can see it.
If it was
it's proper, but it proper.
Exactly.
But they wouldn't because they're Japanese and they're fucking crazy fuckers.
Yeah, Suzuki's anime background definitely lends to his
mystique.
mystique.
But it's so good to get invested in, because you're like, fuck. Like, he's actually like just kicked him right in the fucking face, and it's like you're on about a spectacle, about spectacle wrestling. That is a spectacle.
Yeah, it is.
Like you're saying, Alex, if you lay it in, it looks better.
It does look better.
And in Japan, I'm sure you'll back me up on this, a forearm, like someone like Tomohiro Ishii, when he's throwing forearms into people, it looks like he's just jamming them in the face. He's probably hitting them in the chest. So it's perfectly safe. But the way he's doing it, it looks like someone just taking forearm after forearm into the chin and jaw.
One thing we haven't talked about related to that is the slapping of the thigh.
Yeah.
During that Suzuki match from a couple of weeks back.
Oh yeah.
When he was kicking him like right in the chest, it sounded so much better than.
Alex absolutely hates the slap.
I hate
it.
Because
yesterday I was like, you could literally see Holly was watching my match backstage, and she went, I didn't even watch you move, I was watching your hand just go like that, and you literally, but it was good, and the crowd was like, oh, so they
exactly. I mean, if you do it on the
Andy had
slide,
a heart attack. He messaged me saying, how did your match go? I went, you'd have had an absolute heart attack. I slapped like so many times, and he was just like,
I mean, I don't really see the problem. If you hide it well and it sounds
was
good,
on an
I
end
don't
stage.
see
I don't
a
think I've
problem.
ever seen Shawn Michaels
see it on an
because you
end
go
stage.
up and your arm's coming up anyway. So if you skim your leg for an
if
enziguri,
you
as you're turning, they're not going to look at you like you're underneath.
you're looking at the face and where your
by the
foot's
same
kicking
token,
anyway.
you can kick someone and make that sound without slapping your thigh.
Yeah, that's true. I do a kick to the back and it makes enough of a noise. If I slap my leg, everybody would be like, why she slapped my leg?
So something I mentioned before about, as we were saying, one of the cons is hitting each other hard, especially the headbutts causing concussions. This is something, this next style is known for cutting careers short, and it is hardcore wrestling. This is kind of where this whole debate kind of started off, because it started off with me and Willow being absolutely hammered at about 5 a.m.
This time last year,
watching ECW One Night Stand, and just having a go at the Dudley Boys and Tommy Dreamer. See, this is the thing, is that I don't mind hardcore wrestling, because it in the same way that Showcase and Strong Style is, it's just a spectacle. Sometimes it goes a little too far. Sometimes it's not wrestling. Some of this CZW shit I cannot get behind. Sometimes it just goes sometimes it just goes a little too far. But I still somewhat admire anyone who wants to do it and put their body through that much pain to entertain people.
Absolutely. I've got a lot of respect for people who do it. I might not like it, but you've got to respect them.
But the thing is with hardcore wrestling, like, obviously it was made famous in ECW and in Japan with the death matches and stuff like that. But I think like there's two different styles of hardcore wrestling that's somewhat brushed over, because there's like the indie Extreme Rules and hardcore wrestling, which is with cheese graters and light tubes and all these other crazy wacky things.
Think that's stupid,
ironing boards and stuff like that.
I think that gets where it's like stupid.
Exactly,
like,
but then there's WWE hardcore matches, which is, you can sum it up in tables, ladders, and chairs, kendo sticks, sledgehammers,
baseball bats,
bins. Steel. Yeah, I was thinking bins and steps. That's pretty much it.
I think
you might have
a ring bell.
Have a novelty weapon every once in a while.
A ring bell
feels like a novelty.
Yeah.
The absolute pro of what WWE do is that they don't tend to do it often. So when they do, it's a big deal, and people mark for it.
Absolutely.
Like, even when the fucking women do it, like, I remember Nikki Bella, I think it was only like 2 years ago, and Carmella having a match, and I was going, oh, fuck's sake, like, everyone was just shitting on it, everyone was moaning because it was Nikki Bella, and because it was like, I think it was an Extreme Rules match, was it an Extreme Rules, or it was a street fight, something like that, and everyone was marking out for it, and it was like the first time I've ever heard people mark out for Nikki Bella, because she fucking got this fire extinguisher and just fucking whacked it over Carmella and started spraying her with it, and it's that kind of stuff, because you don't see it all the time, like, I can't remember the last proper Extreme Rules match.
You clearly didn't watch NXT TakeOver from a couple of weeks ago, did you?
I did not watch NXT TakeOver, but I mean on the main roster, apart from when there's been specific pay-per-views for it.
Yeah, that's
They're
true.
very well protected.
But then they don't. But then it's like they save it for the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. But then even then, that's a misuse of that stipulation.
Yeah.
Because you should build towards an Extreme Rules match.
Yes.
Or you should build towards a hardcore match, like what they did at TakeOver a couple of weeks ago with Aleister Black and Adam Cole.
I'm really glad that got brought up, because what I think was brilliant about the way they did that match was they didn't suddenly start wrestling a hardcore style. They just adapted their own styles and added weapons in.
Yeah.
Which is how I think a hardcore match should be done. It shouldn't completely change the style.
I agree.
It should just, they incorporate more things into it to make it more brutal.
Chris Jericho.
And if they built the rivalry up that way anyway, which Black
which was.
It ends up working even better because it looks like this is the payoff.
Yeah, I'll go on to you in a second.
I know, I'm waiting.
Chris Jericho told a story once about his Extreme Rules match with Rey Mysterio, and like he didn't really want an Extreme Rules match, but because it was Extreme Rules pay-per-view, they made him have one. So he said, okay, we'll do an Extreme Rules match, we'll have one spot at the end that involves a chair. Because he said he wasn't going to adapt his entire... He wasn't going to have a huge hardcore match just because the pay-per-view called for it.
Yeah,
he said just because he had to have an Extreme Rules match, he did one, like a 619 into a chair. That was the finish of the match. He said you don't need to adapt your entire match to try and fit
I agree.
the style.
This is like why last year at Extreme Rules they had... it was like the complete opposite of an Extreme Rules match, which was if Ambrose got disqualified, he lost the match, something like that. But it just made it so much more interesting in that sense. I mean, it was The Miz, like, almost getting up towards peak, being amazing. Like, everyone's starting to realise, actually, this guy's actually pretty good. We've given him shit for so many years. But that was probably one of the best matches of the night, and but it worked in a reverse sense. Yeah. But I get what you mean.
Alex.
I think going back to Croft's point, and you're all going to hate me for this and probably boo me,
Boo.
And I'm not just saying this
Wait
because
for
I'm a
it.
huge mark. The person who's good at not adapting the style for the sake of an Extreme Rules match, prime example, Roman Reigns.
Hang on.
He keeps his style, like he'll just do a spear into the table.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like he keeps all of his moves, or he'll do a Superman punch so they land in the table.
I'm not the biggest fan of Reigns, but I'll give him that.
But is that because Roman Reigns can only do 5 moves?
No.
No, it's not. But
He's shown how versatile he can be.
But
And even people like the Black v Cole match, one of my favourite matches of this year. I know we've not had many yet to compare it to, but it's really good, and it's not changing your whole style. You're still doing the same moves. You're just doing them onto a chair.
Yeah, I prefer that.
Yeah, that's much better than if you go back to like something like CZW. It's like where guys are just doing hardcore matches every single night. I can't remember who it was who said it, but it was like, I learned to wrestle, so I don't have to do any of this shit.
yeah.
So it's like sometimes it's like if you go to moves like hit someone with a tube of light, and it's like kind of like maybe you're doing this because you can't actually wrestle.
You see, but I said
Anyone in experience can have a hardcore match. We could have an hardcore match right now.
You say this,
Talent.
is
It's
that the
backyard wrestling, hardcore matches.
but at the same time, that I know guys who are incredibly good wrestlers, but still do the hardcore stuff. Like especially at TNT in Liverpool, which is literally called TNT Extreme Wrestling, and they have a exactly, but they have a belt based around the Extreme Division belt, and that is contested under Extreme Rules. But they have BT Gunn, who is a former ICW World Heavyweight Champion and can wrestle very good matches. Is currently the Extreme Rules champion. They've had guys like T-Bone wrestle for that, who we all know, on the WWE tournament and stuff, like the UK tournament and stuff like that. There's one of my guys I've known for ages, Drew Parker, who's currently has made a name for himself in hardcore wrestling down south, but as I watched last night at a BWP show, he is an incredible singles competitor as well.
Do you know, I think the reason for that is if you were trying to appeal to a casual audience, say you had a mate come around to your house and it's like, show me wrestling, and they're not into wrestling, they're not into the grappling, not into any of that, they're still going to mark out for someone getting whacked in the head with a chair.
It comes back to knowing your audience.
A casual fan who's not a fan of wrestling
I've noticed
will enjoy that more than Finn Balor jumping off the top rope.
I noticed Willow's been incredibly quiet while we've been talking about hardcore wrestling. Anything you would like to add to this?
Nothing's not already been said. Other than it's a talentless waste of time.
Yeah, like you said about
you really don't like it, do you?
No, I really don't like it.
Your show
But then
is
again,
so
I was sort of turned by the one that happened to take over. That was quite good. I quite enjoyed that. I do like the odd hardcore match. I just don't like hardcore wrestling.
I don't like people
That's the
swinging
difference.
weapons.
Yeah.
I like people using things like chairs and tables as part of their offense.
See,
I just don't like when they swing a
No,
chair.
the old like an old school hardcore match, like Sergeant Slaughter versus Pat Patterson, the boot camp match. That was quite good because they went into the ring not dressed as wrestlers. It was a street fight basically with just a couple of you just used whatever you had to hand. So you'd take your belt off and start whipping them. That part of it. There's fucking blood everywhere. That part of it felt real. So therefore, it's easier to get invested in. Why the fuck wrestling companies carry light tubes around? Why? I don't know. So that part of it, I just don't understand.
Like you said about if you're introducing someone or if someone says, I don't like wrestling, put a match on. Like, it's an easy pop.
Yeah.
So if you say put a match on, you're less likely to put on a Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels. You'd probably go with like the Triangle TLC match from WrestleMania 17.
Edge and McFoley at WrestleMania 22.
Yeah,
something like
because
that.
anyone can get invested. It's basically a car crash, but you can't take your eyes away from it. You want to see Jeff get speared off the thing. You want to see people go through tables. It's easier to go, oh, that's brilliant, rather than a half-hour Matt classic.
I have to admit, I mean, that's how I got into it, was through watching it. The first ever video I watched was a wrestling video montage, and the first song on it was American Idiot by Green Day. So I was like, oh, I'm going to watch this. And then, and it was essentially just all hardcore spots, a lot of it being ECW. And then I started liking ECW, watched a lot more of their stuff. And then, over time, I've just kind of gained this appreciation of actual chain wrestling and of storytelling within a wrestling match.
Is Sandman a prime example of someone who uses hardcore wrestling because they can't wrestle?
I was going to say no one's brought more trash. No other genre of wrestlers brought more trash wrestlers
into the wrestling
business.
I agree.
Hardcore wrestling.
On the opposite of that, if we can move away from hardcore wrestling,
New Jack.
Oh, let's not. Let's move on quickly before we start. The final style that we've got to go through is Lucha Libre. This
It's not just flippy shit.
No, this is supposed to have a story.
Lucha Libre is
treated
treated more as a dance in the traditional sense. It is a lot more of a dance. It's a lot more. I wouldn't even say choreographed because it's not.
No.
It's just like a different style altogether. Really, it's not flippy shit. It's much more entertaining because there's actual selling involved most of the time. Most of the time, I'd say. Most of the time.
I think Steve Austin has said a few times, he's like, Lucha Libre, love to watch it. Haven't got a clue what's going on.
I mean, it is phenomenal how these guys do it, but then I guess like it is a main staple of Mexico more than anywhere else. Japan kind of do it, but it's mostly been adapted from the Mexican style in Japan. Is that right in saying that?
Probably like a few. Like junior heavyweights. I've probably gone and worked in Mexico for a few years and then brought it back and incorporated it into the lighter junior heavyweight style. Yeah.
So it's very much of Mexican heritage, and they're obviously trained from the beginning to do this style. And so like you literally only have to watch Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio from that one match they had on Nitro.
Halloween Havoc.
Was it Halloween Havoc?
I liked it then, but I don't like it now.
Do you not a fan?
Not now.
No.
I wasn't really a fan when it was like Rey Mysterio. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. I think kids get into it really easily, especially with
especially I can see that because of the
I used to always want Rey Mysterio mask when I was little. Remember when you go to Spain and that, and then there's like a big sword with them all on?
Yeah.
Oh, I had every colour, mate.
Everyone, when they were a kid, like in wrestling, everyone had a Rey Mysterio mask. Everyone, like you say, Alex, at least everyone wanted one.
Yeah.
Because very similar to when you're growing up, characters are much easier to get behind than people. If they've got a colourful costume or if they've got a persona behind them, a fun name like Rey Mysterio, rather than John Cena or Randy Orton. Like you get behind the flamboyant kind of expressive characters more so than people. Like we would now from an adult's perspective.
Yeah.
I think kids get into Lucha Libre a lot easier than something like a more old school style.
Yeah, but even then, like you can watch matches from the old ECW, this is where I think ECW often gets branded for just being this hardcore stuff. But when you actually go and delve into it, it was Paul Heyman who first brought Lucha Libre to America and brought up Rey Mysterio Jr. and Psychosis, and the matches they were having on them first couple of ones, and even that incorporated some of the hardcore style, but that's only to be expected, especially when you're in Philadelphia. And that's a prime example. Like I think there's like certain classic Lucha Libre matches that you can just pick out and just be like, wow, that's incredible. But I don't think I'd be able to sit and watch a full pay-per-view of all Lucha Libre.
Probably not, but like the matches we're talking about, we've only really seen the North American version of it.
Very true.
Like we're talking about Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero. I don't think I've ever seen an actual like a CMLL Lucha Libre match.
Same.
Don't think I've ever seen one. So to see actual Lucha Libre, I don't think I have.
No, I couldn't say either. So we'll. There's two quick points I want to go on to here. The first one is: are there any other styles that we feel we may have missed off?
I have two.
Okay, go.
I have Powerhouse.
Okay.
And kind of your brawler style. It's not like strong style, but like Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Stone Cold. Like the fighting, the not wrestling.
What would you say?
So sort of like
style.
Yeah.
What would you say scenery is?
See, this is where I'd say the big one we've missed off is WWE style.
Yeah.
It has its own style. And obviously, this is like a massive thing people talk about when people come in from the indies and stuff like that, is adapting to the WWE style.
They do it. They're like, Andy always says to us, whatever I teach you, put into practice. If you ever make it to WWE, forget everything I fucking told you. Like he literally says, "Whatever I've told you, let it go out your brain."
It's
like,
all.
let them
It's
train you
like,
from
especially
scratch.
with a lot of. This is one thing that one of my old trainers used to say to me, and it's he can teach you in a certain way the way that trainer thinks it should be done. But you might go to somewhere else for a training session, and they'll show you how to do the same thing but a bit different. Say, for instance, how to apply a wrist lock. Mm-hmm. But then it's just whatever feels natural to you and how you feel like doing it. But once you've found something that's right for you, just because you then go back to somewhere else, and then they say, "Why are you doing that?" It's like, "Oh, well, I found this, or I find it much more comfortable." There's not a right or wrong way to apply a wrist lock.
If everyone,
there kind of is, but there isn't in a professional sense. Once there's do you know what I mean?
if every trainer taught the same way, everyone would wrestle the same.
Exactly.
That wouldn't be fun.
Mm-hmm.
The whole point is that there's different ways of doing it, and it's, like you say, keep finding something that suits you.
But that's sometimes an issue with WWE. You see, everyone's got their own style. But when they bring someone in, like, oh, why are they going to NXT? It's because they have to learn the WWE style. And sometimes it feels every match is kind of similar. And
Tope suicidas, that kind of stuff.
Tope suicida into an advert break. Come back, you're in a headlock.
Yeah.
That's why I think I enjoy NXT more than the main roster.
Yeah,
because it's
they've
different.
got more freedom to express.
One thing
their
I did
styles.
notice, and it's a very small detail I noticed, was it, again, going back to TakeOver. When Gargano, one of them, like, DDT'd him onto the ring apron.
It was Gargano, the slingshot DDT.
Yeah,
lovely.
he sold down to the outside, but then sat up against the barrier. And for some reason, I thought to myself when I saw him like sitting up against the barrier, I was like, "You see that quite a lot in WWE." And I don't know why. Like, if the way I would, like, me, fucking wrestler Liam over here. if someone had done that to me, it's easy just to go like, boom, onto the ring apron and just down onto the floor, innit? But for some reason, I thought in WWE they don't do that. They sell upright, they'll sit up. It's like when Braun Strowman threw Brock at the ring apron, the ring barrier. Again, he did the same thing. He sat up against
it to sell.
the ring barrier, and I was like, why did he do that?
I remember Sasha Banks doing that. I think she was in a match with Alexa Bliss, and she was hit by a move to the outside, and she just kind of sat against the barrier.
And it's something that you wouldn't notice normally, but
maybe it's something to do with
always
something to do with the cameras, catching the facial
say,
expressions.
Maybe you can get a better angle if they're sat up rather than on the
So
floor.
talk us through Powerhouse then.
Things like Braun Strowman picking little guys up and throwing them around. People like AOP when they're in the ring with. The best way of saying it, do you remember when Ryback was first getting his first push?
Yes.
And every week he would be entering the ring. There'd be a little guy in the ring, a local wrestler, who didn't get his entrance. Sometimes two, and you get a big fella coming in and just battering.
So squash matches, basically.
Basically, squash matches, yeah. Powerhouse wrestling, anything where you've got a big guy who's clearly stronger than the other opponent, and the way that they approach it, it's all big lifts.
So would you have described the Universal Championship matchup a Powerhouse matchup with the three that were in it?
Essentially, yeah, they've all got that style, I'd say.
Bag of meat wrestling.
Bag of meat wrestling. Brock's obviously got his MMA background as well. But he
is also a powerhouse.
Exactly, they've all got that powerhouse element to it.
Yeah. So, is there any other styles that anyone's missed out?
Nah.
Anyone? No? Okay, just to finish off, I'm going to go back through the 8 styles that we've now got, and just one quick, off the top of your head, the first name that comes into your head when each of these styles is said.
Okay.
So we'll start off with old school Mount Evans catch count style. Start with Croft.
Kurt Angle.
Any old school wrestler, literally just say
Matty Jones.
Good call. Candy.
I was going to say Shawn Michaels, but I think I'll go Bret Hart. Or Owen Hart. Love Owen Hart.
Yep.
For saying Matt Evans, I'll go Rollerball Rocco.
I will say Johnny Saint, just to complete the hat trick of British wrestlers. I've never been more proud. Hardcore wrestling.
Mick Foley.
Oh, good call.
Shane McMahon.
Ooh. All right.
That's a good
That is a good one.
That is a good one.
Another one who can't wrestle, so he jumps off shit.
Jumps off shit. Candy. Hardcore
Terry
wrestling.
Funk.
Yep.
Oh, that's a good one. Sabu.
Sabu. I'd say Tommy Dreamer, just for variety. showcase. I think we're all going to have the same 2 here, aren't we?
Ricochet.
Osprey.
Okay.
Osprey.
Zack Sabre Jr. Is he flip shit?
No, he's more.
No, he's very
Evans.
technical.
Is he?
Very
Yeah, man.
technical.
Oh, well, I'll take that. Oh, I can't take it back now. It's on the podcast.
Yeah, it's essentially just. Could you say Young Bucks?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Young Bucks. Yeah.
Just Rick Ospreay, the 2 of them.
Young Bucks.
Rick Osprey.
Young Bucks.
Strong style.
Nakamura.
Alex, strong style.
Nakamura.
I was thinking Nakamura, but he's the king of strong style, so that's why
Yeah,
he's the first one that
that's-
comes to mind. So Shibata.
I was trying to think of somebody
I'll
else.
say 141 Ishii.
Yeah.
Stone
Pitbull.
Stone
Gonna
Pitbull.
say. I've forgotten his name.
His first name.
I've forgotten his name.
Steal
Yeah,
head.
Suzuki. That's the one.
Yeah.
Is he was the just tell me if I'm wrong. He's the one with the hair at the back that got shaved off, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of. Lucha
Wear
Libre.
short
Mysterio.
No
Rey
kid pants.
Mysterio from Liam.
Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio.
La Sombra.
Oh, well played.
La Parker,
El Ligero.
La Parker.
the chairman of the.
I was expecting Alex to pop for that. Never mind.
El Ligero.
Yay!
Is El Ligero the midget horn dude?
Well, he's not midget, but yeah, he's the UK Lucha Libre
Who am I
wrestler.
thinking of?
You're thinking of El Torito.
I was gonna
Oh, I so gotta send him that.
say who was in the WLC match with Boris Royal? El Torito.
Final 3. Powerhouse Wrestling.
Braun Strowman.
Come back to me.
Come back to me.
Ivan Putski,
Oh.
the Polish Hammer.
Either one of us two that can think of it. Mark Henry.
Nice.
Brock Lesnar.
Robert Lashley.
Bob Lashley.
Alfredo.
Alfredo. Brawler.
Stone Cold.
Yeah.
Ambrose.
Steve Austin.
Brooklyn Brawler.
Nice.
I was gonna yeah, I'd say Stone
You did
Cold
that
as
to
well,
be clever.
I do.
And finally, who do you think encapsulates the WWE style?
The Miz.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Roman Reigns.
John Cena.
Triple H. It's hard to say. You've picked all the good ones.
I'll say Randy Orton.
Oh, that's a good one.
Just pick a generic
I think he's really
WWE.
old school.
I think if you look at anyone
He's just
homegrown,
he's
I was going. That's what
methodical.
I'm trying to think of. Someone who's like never been anywhere else.
it's usually first generation.
The Rock.
Alexa Bliss.
I wouldn't even say
Alexa
that.
Bliss, yeah.
Mhm.
I'd say first generation hasn't had influence from inside the family, not from a wrestling family. Been taught by WWE. Baron Corbin's another one, I would say.
Yeah.
If they bring them up themselves,
Strowman.
they don't have outside influence. Strowman's another one. They don't have outside
interlinks,
influence from
yeah.
other promotions. It's just the way WWE want them to work.
Well, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, you have no idea how long that podcast was on the books for, but I'm so
This
glad.
is the
It's-
third attempt.
It was the third
Podcast.
attempt. Because the first time we were drunk and it didn't make sense. The second time the sound quality was so bad it sounded like shit through a goose. That wasn't even the proper analogy of that.
Sounded
Just
like a
sounded.
tennis racket on a wet blanket.
Yeah, that's probably a better analogy than what I've just said. So finally got that one in the books.
Was that the one where we sounded like we were underwater?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Just before we started doing it like we do it nowadays. So thank you very, very much for joining us. We've been Few Good Marks, and we shall see you soon. Cheers for
Bye
listening.
then.
See you later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.